I always wanted to make my own identity outside of my family business. The shadow of that was it felt very heavy for me. And it just felt like a lot to live up to, because anytime I used to say, yeah, Essajees, they used to be like, oh my God, Essajees. To date, if I go to a kid's birthday party, including my own child's birthday party, I walk away traumatized. It's like so much shouting and screaming. I'm not a kid-friendly person. To the extent that when I was in college, I came up with a master plan, business plan with my then college roommate about how we were going to start an airline where you can pay a premium to never fly with a child on the same plane. And now I look back and I laugh because like I'm the one with the child on the plane. A lot of people ask me, if you dislike children so much, why would you want to have a child of your own? I think it was just wanting to do something together with someone I love a lot. I got pregnant, which I didn't mean to. That also really freaked me out. So I was freaked out from like a long time, okay? Like freaked out the whole way through. This is superficial, but I love my body and I love how I look, and that's been very important to my identity and how I look at myself. So looking at them in the mirror, seeing like a stomach dangling down and like my body parts just like limp for like months, it was very disturbing for me, and I most definitely had horrific postpartum depression. As society and as women, we need to stop praising men for stuff that is very basic. They should be able to wash the clothes, wash the dishes, help you with your kids, order the groceries. If you are able to do it, you do it. He is able to do it, he does it. It's just that simple. There's no women and men tasks.
Correct.
I think as women in this Indian society, it's always about be a good daughter, be a good mother, be a good friend, be a good this. You're stuck in everyone else's expectation. What do you want to do? What do you like? You just do that.
Hi everybody, I'm Naiyya Saggi, the co-founder of the Good Glamm Group and the CEO of Good Communities. I'm super excited to introduce our guest for today, Sarah Sham, who's the principal designer at Essajees Atelier. She's an award-winning interior designer. She's also the designer to the stars and is a mom herself. Sarah, welcome to the show, to the Mompreneurs Legends show. It's so exciting to have you and to hear your story. You know, you've actually gone through a journey where you had this amazing family legacy, right? Of antiques and collectibles, and I think from there to kind of branch out into interiors and to build such a strong brand name for yourself. It's an incredible journey, right? So when you think about what maybe set you up for this, you know, take us back to your childhood a little bit, Sarah, and tell us about what were your formative years like, you know, what you grew up thinking about, dreaming about, and if your school friends were to look at you today, would they say this is the Sarah that they knew back in school?
I think now it's very convenient that everything makes sense, but the journey has definitely not been a very straight one for me. Growing up, the only thing I wanted to do was have animals, dogs. I wanted to be a vet my whole life. That was always my dream. I never dreamed of doing anything even remotely related to the family business. I always felt very overwhelmed by it because it's 4 generations, started in literally like 1890, all led by men. It was always called Essajees and Sons. Traditionally, actually, women were not allowed at the store. They were supposed to stand outside and wait outside. So very different setup. And obviously, things changed over time, and the patriarchy did sort of erase itself as the world moved on. But it's never something that I saw myself doing in my whole life, ever. I did always love art. I did always enjoy that aspect of it. But interior design is not something at all that I thought was going to ever happen for me. And it was actually someone else who told me I should be an interior designer.
Who told you?
I have worked in about 12 different jobs. I've done everything from be a news anchor at Bloomberg, to work at Vogue, to work at Saffron Art, to worked at an ad agency. I worked at a hedge fund. I've done many jobs, including being a barista at a coffee shop, being a theatre actor. I tried and failed at many things, and I did my undergraduate degree at Duke in the US, where I continued to try many different things. Nothing stuck for me until I did a course in art history, and then that really clicked. I mean, I liked everything. I always felt like I would do something in economics or business. I always wanted to make my own identity outside of my family business. The shadow of that was it felt very heavy for me. And it just felt like a lot to live up to, because anytime I used to say, yeah, Essajees, they used to be like, oh my God, Essajees. And while that's amazing, it's very big boots to fill of, you know, oh, I used to know your grandfather, your great grandfather did this, and then I'm just this girl in this very big, scary world, and it's overwhelming, especially like when you're in your early 20s, like trying to step into the shadow of all of that. It was just my sister and me, and my sister very early said she wanted nothing to do with this at all. Her love is food, and she was always very clear about that. I was the one who was unclear and bouncing. So through all these different jobs, I did work with my dad for 5 years in his business. There was one client who I remember literally every day, who was buying stuff from my dad, and she called me over to her house, and she showed me her space. And luckily for me, it was like a beautiful, like an 8,000 square foot bungalow on the ocean at Haji Ali, which was completely unfurnished and raw shell, and she was redoing all of it. And she had fired 3 of her previous designers, or you know, something like that. And so she kept calling me saying, what should I do here? What should I do here? What should I do? And we were selling her furniture. So sold her a lot of stuff through that. So I was like, great, like I'm being able to make some good sales. I was feeling good about myself. And then she actually told me, why don't you design this house with me? And I told her she's lost her mind and that she's crazy and that I'm not an interior designer. Like literally, I never thought of this in my whole life. It was not in my list ever, ever, ever. I never dreamed of this. I never wanted it. It just really came to me through some very strange path. And she convinced me for quite a few months, telling me, just help me design the space. What do you have to lose? And I said, I am not a designer. I'm trying to sell you furniture. Like, it's a very different world to do that. And then by that point, I had failed at so many things that I said, whatever, what's the worst that happens if I try? And then I tried, and then immediately something clicked for me, and I realized I'm damn good at it, and I genuinely know how to do this. And then I spoke to a lot of people who gave me a lot of confidence to go back to school. I studied again for 2 years after studying for 4 years, working for 5 years, went back to school for 2 years, studied interior design, and then started up on my own.
This is when you were 26, right?
Yes.
That's when you went back to school to study interior
Yes.
design. So after that, I mean, tell us a little bit about the journey from there, because you came back to India, you came back to
Yes.
Bombay to set up your practice.
Yes.
What were the early years like? Because it's such a competitive industry.
Very tough, and I'm also a very stubborn person. So my very sweet father kept trying to introduce me to his contacts since he's been in this industry for so long. But because I've always felt like I wanted to break out of this shadow and do things on my own, I would literally go searching for clients and do like single bathroom projects for a design fee of like 30,000 rupees over 6 months.
How do you find these initial clients of yours?
Networking groups. There's a bunch. My best friend has one called Networking Now. I love it. I swear by it. It helped me get a lot of my initial clients and projects. And I networked like crazy. Like I really, really networked. I told everyone I knew. I called my friends and family and relatives and been like, now I'm an interior designer, give me work. I was really brazen about all of it because I wanted to do this on my own and have my own stamp, my own space to shine on my own outside of anyone else's shadow. And I feel like that's the part that bothers me a little bit, is that now everyone, like, the perception is like, oh my God, Essajees, oh how perfect and how lovely must that have been. But it actually was the opposite experience for me. It was like, it was really difficult. Like, I'm not doing like one, you know, like a woe is me victim thing. But it was really tough to try and be your own person when there's so much baggage that comes with it, of expectations, of what things are supposed to look like, of how the business has always traditionally been run. So yeah, I just wanted to do my own thing.
You know, I think it's so interesting, the point you make about networking and, you know, almost, I think, about communities.
Yes.
Really, you know, communities that support you. And many times people say it's actually not necessarily friends and family. It's actually a broader community that is mission aligned, that is invested in your support. And, you know, I remember reading one of your posts very early on where you'd mentioned you've set up a community of interior designers across multiple cities in India.
Yes.
I think that is amazing. Like, tell us a little bit more about what prompted you to set up a community for interior designers yourself. And managing communities is not easy. I know that firsthand. So tell us a little bit about, you know, the thought there, and what's that shaped up to be?
So this is the thing I'm most proud of. Like, I think I can literally chuck my portfolio to the side. The designers communities is my proudest little baby.
How many members do you have in that?
10,000 across
Amazing.
110 cities.
Amazing.
Yes.
And across 110 cities, Sarah?
Yes. So
amazing.
It's super active. So essentially when I started out, and I've grown up in this industry, we've dealt with designers our whole life. I've literally grown up meeting all of India's top designers or the world's top designers and interacting with them because I grew up at my dad's store, meeting all of them. And the attitude was always like, I can't share. Like, this is my contact, this is my contractor, this is my client, and this is proprietary to me and how I do things. And I'm not like that as a person. And at one design show in Delhi, I had met a designer who's really inspirational. His name is Ambrish Arora. He runs probably India's most famous design studio called Studio Lotus.
Yeah.
And he's like a legend, okay, like a legit living legend. And he's helped so many people because he's actually the opposite. All he does is share information. So as a young designer with no contacts or connections or anything, I literally met him at a design show and caught him and said, like, I really want to come to your office and will you talk to me if I come? And he said yes, and he gave me his personal phone number, and I went across and he opened everything out to me. His contracts, how he pays people, what he earns, his whole systems, processes. I came with a list of like 30 questions. He answered every single one totally transparently by showing me literally all the documents. And that is what inspired me, because I feel like maybe there's one or two of these people that do this on a micro level, but I want sharing to become part of who we are at our core, and it's so powerful.
Yeah.
So I started using Instagram a lot more and harnessing the power of sharing. And I have my own community of designers where we share everything. Bad experiences with vendors, bad experiences with clients, good experiences, fears, so-and-so employees leaving me, everything. Because like you as an entrepreneur, you know you're working in your own silo. So when you have a problem, who are you going to ask? Your own team members. But how much, like you need a circle outside of that. So as designers, we all literally share all information, and it's been so helpful. So I wanted to extend that to everyone.
I mean, I love that. I absolutely love that. And 10,000 members across, 110 odd cities. I mean, it's insane. I mean, but do you have a team that pretty much builds this community out with you? Or someone who's watching this, right? How do they join this network? How do they join this community?
So it's primarily currently only for the principal interior designer, but we're expanding it out, we're opening it out. I do have a community manager that is there, yes, very much, who's there on all of the groups. But it's still something, I'm doing it for absolutely no money or payment at all. So it's still something that I'm like, I have my full-time job, I have my family, and then the community is like whatever energy I'm able to dedicate to. So I need to focus a lot more on that, but we are going to roll it out to all of the international cities as well. We're going to roll it out to students eventually. We're going to roll it out to people who work at studios. There's a link in my bio on my Instagram. It's really easy to join. And yeah, I mean it's super active. So we literally we've had so many conversations about how to grow your online presence, how to build a team, what salary structures are most efficient. And when you go into smaller towns, you'll realize people are super competitive because there'll only be, say, 10 or 20 clients that have those budgets and maybe 10 or 20 designers that can meet those requirements. Like in a big city like Bombay, there are thousands of people who have high budget projects and thousands of designers that can service it. So it's not as cutthroat, So in smaller cities, people are very competitive. So fostering a sense of community and getting people together has been very powerful there. Because people have realized that we can work together, and when they are, it's becoming just much stronger and bigger and better. And it's amazing, the whole impact and effect. I was at a design show in Delhi. I bumped into like 10 girls from the Calcutta designers groups who had all come together as a gang to Delhi, flown there together. I've had people who form partnerships by meeting, work together. It's just amazing how many connections have happened through these groups.
No, I absolutely love the construct of the communities you've created. And I think just the impact, I think it clearly is super exciting for you to see play out as well, But tell me, let's sort of rewind a little bit, right? And I think what's really powerful about you, Sarah, is the way you've been able to, of course, build communities out to help and to give back to the community overall. But I think you've also been able to build out a very, very significant personal brand. If you were to take a step back and say, this is what Sarah Sham stands for by way of, being an interior designer, an award-winning interior designer, but also there's a personal brand that you've built out on Instagram.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more about that. And there's so much of your life out there for all of us to see and to, benefit from.
Yeah.
How does it, how do you experience doing this on a day-to-day basis and sharing of yourself so generously? Like, tell us a little bit more about that and any tips on building personal brand.
I've realized that there's a million talented designers that exist, and I don't consider myself to be the world's best designer or the world's best anything. But I always knew if I focused on building out enough good branding and packaging around what we do, and actually delivering a good product, that's something that would really help me stand out in what is a very crowded market. So that's a strategy that I actually took on very actively like 4 years ago, and I've just been at it. I think I made a decision a while ago whether I want to be an interior designer or a business owner. I'm a business owner. Yeah. So a lot of people get stuck there because if you consider yourself an interior designer, you just get obsessed with, oh, is this design correct? But I'm a business owner. So is my business making money? Are my clients happy? With the overall experience of absolutely everything. I'm not compromising on the details, but it's just looking at it through a very, very different lens. And having a strong personal brand is so important. So that's where a lot of designers, whether you're a fashion designer or an interior designer, even if you look at the fashion design world, if you see Manish Malhotra, he's built out a huge personal brand, right? His designs are gorgeous, sure. But the branding aspect is very important, and he's obviously put so much time and energy into it. I'm sure there are 1,000 other designers as talented as Manish Malhotra, but they're not where he's at because they didn't put in that same energy and effort into building all of that around them. So that's something that I tell young designers all the time, that building out and understanding what your niche is, who you are, what you stand for, and what the best part is for me now is that people understand me on an energy level, and I have just attracted all those people with the same energy into my life. My clients are literally like clones of each other, literally, like all usually like smart working women with a child and a dog.
Child and a dog?
Child and a dog, literally like. And my team laughs at me because they're like, oh my God, you so have a type. But that's the advantage of social media and putting so much out there. And to your question of whether it's exhausting for me, I love it. Like, I know it's very exhausting for a lot of people to share their personal life. But like, even when Snapchat was all the rage, I used to post like rubbish about like, this is the plant, this is the dog, this is the coffee, when I had no content to post because I like it. Like, I enjoy it. Makes me happy. And I think that comes across strongly.
No, I have to say, I think, your Insta profile is, and the entire, it's such a joyous, it's a very like exuberant and, full of life. And there are times when, of course, you've shared the lows as well, very, very honestly. And I do want to talk a little bit about that too, right? So, you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, right?
Yes.
Do you want to share with all of us maybe some of the highest highs and the lowest lows? And just be very, very candid, because there are going to be people watching you here who are probably needing this from you to make them move up a step.
I think as entrepreneurs, and maybe you will attest to this also, the highest highs, I think I never take a moment to pause and appreciate them. It all kind of just merges into each other. The lowest lows I'll definitely be able to point out to you. The highest highs, everything is good.
But what has been the high? Like, I remember there was the post about doing Ishan Khattar's house, which I think a lot of my team members are super excited about. Because, it's Ishan
really
Khattar, right?
Yeah,
and he's a very cool guy, and
he's a sweetheart.
The it boy really right now. But I think more importantly, there must have been moments where you were like, hey, Sarah, you've arrived. Like, was there a moment like that at all, or?
So I'll start with the rosy ones, like the highest highs. It's, as an entrepreneur, you're always looking at what is the next step. Okay, I got here, but I need to get here. But I do try and take a moment to pause and appreciate where I'm at. I think one for me was getting my own office. This may not seem like a big deal because I know people start out their business and get their office. But for me, I worked out of my dad's space for the first 7 years because I was always very scared to like pay rent or move out on my own. Like, getting married was not a big deal, but getting my own office, actually taking that decision, taking that financial decision to really put all my money in, So I had saved a bunch of money, and I had a networking group, a business networking group, where we spoke every month. And I said, should I put this money as a down payment on my house? I really want to own my own house, which I currently don't, which is ironic, I know, but that's a whole topic for another time. So the advice I got is that if you're able to earn this much money from working out of your dad's literally basement, put all the money back in, invest it back into your own business, get the office, hire the employees, go all in, and then you see how much more money you can earn and really back yourself. And I did that. Like, it was like a very gutsy move. I thought about it a lot, like, and then I actually did it, and it has been the best thing ever. I put all my savings in. I've literally, like, all cards on the table, and the results have been fabulous. So if anyone's watching this and they feel like they're not sure, I think investing in myself was the best decision. So I'm happy to pay top dollar for everything because I know that the returns will come. And I think another is that we've had multiple experiences of clients that are just really deeply happy in their spaces. So someone sending me a picture of them enjoying their morning chai,
Oh, lovely.
you know, in their space. We had a client recently who sent a picture of their kids playing in a space and really interacting with everything that we've built out, with a message saying that we get everyday joy thanks to you. So the fact that I've really deeply impacted someone in that way, those for me are the highest highs. Lowest lows, oh God, where do I begin? I think I've had some very tough clients. Most of these are going to be client-related issues. Clients that have been really rude to me, clients that have really shouted at me, clients that have made me cry, clients that have made me feel like absolute worthless shit, sorry. I can pinpoint a million moments like that. A lot of them happened in the early stage of my career. Very, very tough. Very tough. And I think the other part of lowest lows would be losing projects, where I just didn't have the voice or the courage to speak up. And then eventually, because I didn't speak up about issues that I was facing on site or my own shortcomings, it's not like I'm saying I'm this perfect person and I didn't make the mistakes, but owning up to my mistakes or dealing with it in the wrong way, and clients walking away from projects or me losing a project because of that. And there have been multiple instances, obviously, of that happening. Tough. Very, very tough.
Stuff you've lost sleep over, like, properly.
100%. Lost sleep, wake up thinking about it, like, wake up in cold sweats, wondering, like, should I message, should I not message? Also, the financial stress is very real. A lot of months where I just wasn't sure if I was gonna, I didn't make money for a long time, like really long time. I bled money for a long time. Money was always a tricky topic for me because I just never made any money. Like, I was always broke, and I hated asking my parents for money. But I was still very much in my 30s and not making money, which was very tough for me also. Obviously now I'm on the other side of that. So I love spending money now, no surprises there. And I do enjoy when things come my way. But yeah, there's definitely been a lot of.
How do you bounce back from, let's say, your lowest lows? Like, if you were to think back and say, okay, here are the 3 things I would do, or I do more of now, right, with experience and the benefit of hindsight. What are those 3 things?
So the first is that whenever something goes wrong, I have to be thankful for it and bless it, because that experience is going to teach me something that a positive experience would never be able to teach me. So I'm grateful today for all the bad experiences, because that's what got me here. When something bad happens, not to look at it with a lens of, why did this happen to me? Oh my God. But look at it as, this is something that I'm supposed to learn, and that's why this lesson has come to me. The second is, after every project, good, okay, bad, I do a mental introspection. What did I do right? What did I do wrong? And next time, what will I do and not do? And everything is listed down and written. Yeah, I have like 100 million notes on everything. I write everything down because I feel like it makes it real if it's written. I mean, it's just my own
way of processing
the information. Exactly. So I will write down all the things that I will, not necessarily that I did wrong, that's probably the wrong language, that I will do better the next time. How am I going to be better next time? So self-improvement is my biggest obsession in life. I always feel like I'm a work in process and in progress, and I need to be better than I was yesterday every day. And if I'm not, and if I'm repeating the same mistakes, then karmically, that's going to keep coming back into my life. And that is how it works, right? So that's why they always say like that the same kind of client or the same kind of person will keep coming to you if you have not found a way to deal with that situation. So to attack it head on. And the third learning would be to not be afraid of confrontation. I used to be very afraid of confrontation. I can be quite like mousy. I know it doesn't seem like that. And my husband was very surprised to see this side of me. I hate shouting or I hate confrontation. Like I run from it. So I have now switched gears. I'd rather catch you. Let's have that chat now. Let's resolve it. Let's both find the way forward. So I've changed a lot about who I am at my core with and changed my personality to deal with the bad stuff better and to see it with a more positive light or more constructive light.
I think it's so important. I think all 3 points are extremely important. And I think what really stands out to me about what you just shared is how you've been able to evolve based on what you know is right for where you want to go.
Yes.
Right? I mean, if this is what, I mean, if being confrontational or, you know, basically processing what hasn't worked for you in the past and being able to implement that for the future is what works for you, is something that you've over-indexed putting in the effort towards. And I think that's also part of investing in yourself. You know, you talked about this in 2 different contexts, right? The office was an investment in yourself and your career. This is also an investment of time in yourself and who you're, you know, out to become. So, you know, I want to quickly switch gears a little bit because a very, very big part of who we are is also the people we have, right? And especially people at home. So, you know, I know Mustafa, your husband, and we've seen his posts and, you know, very, very equal parent, like that entire vibe comes through. We'll get to know the truth of that very soon. But, you know, before we dive into him and into other things, right, there's a very beautiful post you'd written, Sarah, which was, motherhood was something that really grew on me. And it took me time to lean into it fully. Right? It was a solid 18 months till I started to feel a deeper connection. Right? And I don't know whether to classify it as postpartum or whether it was more just an embracing of motherhood and it's a completely different person, you know, that we're kind of accountable for, right? Tell us a little bit more about that because not too many women speak about this phase in their life as openly as you did and as, I think, as candidly as you did.
So I've said from the day I met my husband or anyone I ever met, I've always imagined myself as a dog mom. Like my goal in life was 7 dogs. I never dreamed of the husband. I never dreamed of kids, for sure not. I always disliked children. I found them irritating, loud, screamy. To date, if I go to a kid's birthday party, including my own child's birthday party, I walk away traumatized. It's like so much shouting and screaming. I'm not a kid-friendly person. To the extent that when I was in college, I came up with a master plan, business plan with my then college roommate about how we were going to start an airline where you can pay a premium to never fly with a child on the same plane. And now I look back and I laugh because like I'm the one with the child on the plane. But
and you're on the Mom Score show right now.
Exactly, I know. But being a mom was never part of who I imagined myself as. So first of all, marriage was a lot for me to wrap my head around. I never imagined myself as a wife. I met this wonderful man. We ended up getting married. In fact, when he proposed to me, it took me very long to process that because the question I kept asking was like, isn't it too soon? Like, shouldn't we just wait?
How old were you when you got married?
30 something. Yeah. It's not like I was some spring chicken, but I just felt like I had not imagined any of this for myself. I'm always kind of on my own path, doing my own thing. So marriage was a lot for me to process.
And that wasn't a goal per se for you at all.
So like so many girls have like imagined where they're going to get married and I'm going to wear this lehenga and then I'm going to have it at this and all. I didn't even know. I was unbothered. If you tell me which dogs I want, I'll tell you.
You know that you have the list.
I know that I have the list ready. Or like how I want to live on a farm or anything. So then after that, having the child was something that my husband is an amazing father. He's like a ready-made father. He's mentally been there from way before we met, that he wants to be a father. So after we met and got engaged and then got married, he's just been like super ready to be a dad. And for me, I could have waited like 10 years and I think I still probably wouldn't have been mentally ready to have a child. And then eventually we had many talks. By we, I mean he was telling me like, yo, like let's move this topic along. eventually I said, okay, I only gave it a shot out of love for my husband, because a lot of people ask me, if you dislike children so much, why would you want to have a child of your own? I think it was just wanting to do something together with someone I love a lot. I got pregnant, which I didn't mean to. That also really freaked me out. So I was freaked out from like a long time, okay? Like freaked out the whole way through. With business stuff, I'm super clear. I know I've always wanted to take over the world. That stuff is easy peasy for me. This motherhood topic was very difficult for me. Pregnancy was ace, had a good time. Then the baby came. And then I was like, oh my God, like what is happening here?
Yeah.
I felt like an alien. First of all, I have never been anything but fit. And this is superficial, but I love my body and I love how I look. And that's been very important to my identity and how I look at myself. So looking at in the mirror, seeing like a stomach dangling down and like my body parts just like limp for like months. It was very disturbing for me, and I most definitely had horrific postpartum depression also. To add to that, I had a really hard time bonding with my baby because it was like babies, as they are not interactive for the first few months. It's just a lot of crying and diaper changing. So she would like blink twice and my husband would be like, oh my God. And I'd be like, what? You just like,
Just blinked.
She just blinked, like relax. Like I was just not able to process, and I felt completely out of my body. So I think it took her personality coming out and her becoming like, as soon as she started becoming more feisty, more bossy, more vocal, then I was like, damn, like she's got it going on. Like I like what's happening here.
Basically more like Sarah.
More like me, yeah. I mean, she's worse than me and better than me. And I know it's like not an appropriate thing to say, but that small baby face just did nothing for me.
Yeah.
And as she became a human with a personality, then a switch went on.
Yeah.
And that's when I felt really connected as a mother and a daughter, where she was like, can you come here? Can you do this with me? I like this. I don't want that. And I feel like that's okay, because as a society, we have programmed ourselves to say that the day your child is born is the best day of your life. It was absolutely not the best day of my life. I was so confused. I was like, in this delivery room, there's like a million people. The anesthesiologist was actually sitting on my stomach, pushing the baby down. There were 4 people observing there as I'm birthing this child. I mean, that's definitely not the most wonderful day of my life. It was the most confusing
Traumatic
and overwhelming day. Then this child is out, she's flung on my chest. I'm like, what? What's happening? Then it's just like, and I don't know how in that moment, like, you know, you see these movies and they're like, the girl is crying, she's like, oh my God, best moment here. And we both, my husband and we both left the room after birth. And we both just looked at each other being like, did you feel something? He said, no. Did you feel something? I said, no, I didn't feel anything at all. It was just so confusing. And that's okay. Like, it's okay to have that experience.
Correct. Absolutely.
You don't have to, and also just because you're a woman doesn't mean you have to be maternal and this like nurturing, like, oh baby, goo goo gaga types. You are allowed to feel whatever you want to feel. And society doesn't have to give you permission to do that.
Yeah.
So I feel like it was very hard for other people around me also to process that I had a very long journey to feel motherhood.
Yeah.
It was not. And then finally when I felt it, and the good thing is that I didn't force myself, I didn't pretend. I was just like, I'm not feeling it. Like, I want to do my own things right now. I'm not feeling that connection, and that's okay. Of course, it freaked me out a lot because I was like, oh God, like,
is this normal? Is this not? I mean, you tend to think that because there's so much societal expectation or like societal narrative around what you're supposed to be feeling, which is a lot of pressure.
And also portrayal, like Instagram, which is just like mothers cradling these newborn kids and like beaming and happy and like, oh, look at how cute my baby is. I mean,
and maybe that's their journey.
That's their journey.
Sure. But your journey is.
But
your
where
journey.
are the people who are talking like how I'm talking, being like, listen, I saw this kid, but I was confused and I didn't know what to do.
Right.
Where are the people talking about that? Like, why does no one open their mouth and say like, this is really hard for me? Like, and I feel like I really resented that because no one told me how hard postpartum was going to be. I didn't realize, like,
Did you get help eventually, or
I
was
didn't.
it something?
I
Do
didn't.
you regret not getting help?
So much. I so regret it.
But you know, how would you advise someone who's maybe wondering if they have postpartum?
If you're wondering, you have postpartum,
You
get
probably
help.
do.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was also wondering, because I would wake up every morning and I would feel, I just wanted to cry. Like,
Yeah,
I
you feel like
just
shit,
wanted to cry.
basically.
Felt like shit every morning.
Yeah.
And then I would talk to people. I talked to my mom, I talked to my girlfriends, I talked to my husband. And what people just kept saying is, it's a phase, it'll pass. I understand it is a phase and it will pass, but in that moment, it feels like forever. I literally felt like time was going in slow motion. It was just horrifically bad. Like I just felt like literally like an alien. I didn't feel like I was in my own body. I felt like I was outside of my body looking inward. And at that point, social media was actually very negative for me, because I was out there on social media putting up my life, being like, oh, hey, yeah, here I am working and here I am doing this and that. And then I would go to parties or I would go out and people would meet me and be like, oh my God, you're killing it, look at you, you just had a child and everyone's talking about you like, oh, you're doing such a good job. And that made me feel like a fraud. So I used to actually go home and cry because I felt like such a big fraud, because the perception is that, like, which is why I wanted to make sure to talk about it very clearly. Because you don't actually know what's happening in someone's
people's
life.
lives,
Yeah, like you see this very rosy picture.
And it's one post.
and
I mean,
it's a
it's not
lie.
like, not
I
even
mean-
like,
I mean, it's
it
not a
may not be a
lie.
lie.
No,
it might be
but-
like that 5 minutes of like that,
Exactly,
you know, the 48
exactly.
hours in which they're posting or
Yes.
whatever else, right? That's not their life.
Yes.
But I want to move on to I think a related topic,
Yeah.
right? I think you've touched upon an extremely important point, right? You went back to work.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that journey of going back to work, because I did the same, and I wonder sometimes. I went back to work literally, I think a month after I gave birth. I had a C-section. I was limping to work. It was not the best decision, honestly, but I was an entrepreneur. I honestly had no option.
Yeah.
Middle of a fundraise, everything else. What would you advise women after they've had a baby on going back to work, especially entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
right? What are maybe the 2 or 3 things you'd give them, like, you must do this to get ready to get back and rock it, or at least like get through and go to the next level?
So first pregnancy, I did things very strangely. It was also a lockdown pregnancy, and obviously
It was
it's
a COVID
lack-
pregnancy.
It was
Yeah.
full COVID. Like I had the baby in July 2020 and March 2020 we all went into lockdown. So I actually delivered. I went into the hospital on a Thursday. I delivered on a Friday morning. Friday evening I was back or something like that. Saturday, Sunday I took off and I was back to work on a Monday. So I took 2 working days off as my maternity break. Don't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just say that's definitely...
You didn't have a C-section,
No, I
obviously. You
didn't.
had a natural.
Yeah, I had a natural birth. But this time what I'm doing, which is, I think this pregnancy journey, I'm really attempting to be a more sensible version of old me, learning, growing, evolving. I have actually done an entire handover docket to each of my clients, which I have started from a few weeks ago at this, giving 6 weeks notice that on August 22nd, I'm probably having this child somewhere around then. So in this next 6 weeks, these are all the tasks I would like to be involved for. This is everything that's required from your end. So to close off everything, hand it over. The second is that I have amazing teams that I have built over time. So if you're like an entrepreneur that's a one-man show, there's no such thing as maternity leave then, because you've not set up those systems and processes. For me, I'm very grateful that I'm so obsessed with systems and processes that I've set it up. So I have mentally primed and prepped all my clients and telling them multiple times for the next 4 weeks, I am going to be missing. And I'm also trying to tell myself, I have to be missing, please, can I just focus?
So it's a 6-week maternity time off that you're...
No, I'll take 3 weeks off.
You will take 3 weeks off. Okay, so, all right, but you're taking off time before. All right.
No, the 6 weeks is the notice period. I'll continue working till the day I pop. But at least for this time, I'm doing an entire docket of everything. And I think the good thing is that I can work on my own time and my own terms. My work is close to my office. That's something
But 3 weeks off is not that much, Sarah, if you really think about it. I mean, I know it might seem like a lot to us, but it's actually not that long a time.
I know.
If you want to think about, women who've had to take a lot more time
Yes.
off, and we'll talk a little bit about the structure you've set up at home.
Yes.
I truly believe in this. I mean, teams at work and teams at home.
Yes.
Right? So some of these women may not have these teams at home that we are privileged to have, right? What would you advise them, coming back to work or coming back to set up a company or aspiring to set up a company maybe, 6, 7, 8 years?
So my sister took like quite a long maternity break and leave, I think 3 years. And then she started working, and then she kind of was struggling because her son was obviously really missing her because he was used to seeing her around so much. I feel like it's so tricky because I've spoken to so many moms about this. The moms that have stayed home longer, they have very obviously deep and meaningful bonds with their kids, but that child also expects you to be around all the time, So the moms that have gone back to work quicker, the kids are used to not seeing their parent from a very early age. So as that gap starts becoming bigger, then it becomes hard for both mother and child to break that bond. And then the guilt becomes way worse. So the way I would do it is take a shorter break and go back to a part-time scenario, just so that the train keeps moving, even if it's moving very slowly. And if you have taken a very long gap, then you do need the help and support at home. Otherwise, nothing is going to work.
What is your help and support system at home? Tell us more about that.
I have a very unusual system where I have just a ludicrous amount of help. So when other working moms talk to me, I keep telling them I am not in the same category as you. I have a full-time nanny who looks after my daughter. I have my mother who looks after her 2 days or 3 days a week. I have my mother-in-law who looks after her for the other 2 days or 3 days a week. So I am a part-time mother and I am a full-time working person. Monday to Friday, my mother, mother-in-law and the nanny are fully with her. I only do mornings and evenings.
And Mustafa's role in this entire construct?
So he's same, Monday to Friday, he's works morning and evening we see her. And weekends, we fully clear out and I'm with her full on.
Yeah.
But Monday to Friday, it's very much a nanny and dadi scenario.
But she's lucky to have them.
Absolutely.
She's very lucky to have them.
She's very lucky to have them. So if you don't have that, it's very difficult. And I really feel for people and I really admire people who don't have that kind of support and are still managing to work, still managing to do so much. It's very tough.
So, we're actually almost out of time. But how have you I think 2 questions, right, Sarah? One is, we have this whole campaign on equal parenting, right, that we kicked off many years back and we're all extremely passionate about, right? And Mustafa sounds very much like an equal parent, but I think there are these conversations you still need to have and, demarcate roles, responsibilities, expectations, right? How would you advise someone who may not have maybe as, already, I think, a partner like Mustafa, but how would you advise people to have that conversation with their partners, with their spouses and kind of get this movement going and finding its own feet across multiple houses in the country?
I treated this like I would treat a project. I actually listed down all the tasks that need to be done for the house.
I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
I'm sure you did.
Since I love this so much. And it has got split down the middle.
Yeah.
And these are his tasks and these are my tasks.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of invisible work as women that we do.
Yeah.
Nothing is invisible.
Yeah.
Trust me, my husband gets reminded 1 trillion times if I have done something. So all of the stuff that we do quietly, silently, I don't have that approach at all. All my responsibilities are very clearly I take care of this, I take care of this. That's why I'm not going to take care of all of this. So we split all of the tasks equally, and I feel like men are much more open to these conversations.
Yeah.
But it's something that because from a society point of view, okay, I'll give you a small example because this really cheeses me off. When I tell people that my husband does the Sunday grocery ordering, for the kirana.
Yeah.
So many, especially in my mom's generation, they're like, oh my God, how did you manage? And praising him to the skies. If I was to do that task, people would just not flinch and be like, yeah, it's her job. My job is equally demanding as his, if not more. So I hate this, oh my God, praising of the man for doing something that's basic. So if anyone does it around me, I'm the first person to go meow on them and be like, no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
This is gender bias.
Yeah.
So I think as society and as women, we need to stop praising men for stuff that is very basic.
Yeah.
They should be able to wash the clothes, wash the dishes, help you with your kids, order the groceries. If you are able to do it, you do it. He is able to do it, he does it. It's just that simple. There's no women and men tasks.
Correct.
So yeah,
I mean, I could not agree more, by the way, because
Yeah.
Sonu Bhaiya, my house help, will basically go to Sandeep, my husband, and say,
Yeah.
Bhaiya, ye kam ho gaya,
Yes.
chana khatam ho gaya, dal khatam ho gaya, spinach.
Yes.
That is his responsibility,
Yep.
and many, many things. That very, very clearly, I think,
Yeah.
interesting to hear this,
Huh.
because we're both ex-consultants. So we also make a lot of lists, and we do a lot of checklists. So I
Yes.
really resonate with what you
Yes.
just shared.
Yes.
So Sarah, I'm going to pick up from this point that you said about having really crappy clients
Yep.
and, starting off your company when you were 26. There's the whole age bias, and there's obviously probably a gender bias you faced building out in such a competitive, cutthroat industry, right? What would you advise, let's say, a girl who's 26 years old, 24 years old, starting off an entrepreneurial venture, on what you would have done differently now that you look back and say this is how you need to go ahead and pretty much take the bull by its horns, if you will, and
Yeah.
really build?
So I think that at that point, I was just so desperate for work that I took on any client that came my way, and I didn't think I had the prerogative to say no. Because I needed the work, I needed the money. So any client that came my way, including the really shitty clients, as long as they paid me money, I would say yes. So there was a switch that I made from a seller's mentality to a buyer's mentality. So as a seller's mentality, it was like, hi, I'm Sarah, this is my service. I'm selling it, I'm selling it, I'm selling it. Who wants to buy it? Shitty client 1 and 2 put up their hand, and I'm like, sold, But then I realized that I switched to a buyer's mentality. So now when clients come in through the door, and even if I don't have work at the moment and I'm bleeding out money, I will wait. I interview the client as much as they interview me. I do background checks, I make sure the energy is right, the vibe is correct. And people feel like you can only do this if you have a place of privilege where you have lots of inquiries coming in. That is wrong. You should only be associated with people who are on that same energy wavelength as you. They will bring out your best work, your best quality. So you'd rather have one project with one good client, because that will lead for you to have something beautiful in your portfolio, versus 10 projects that are all paying you with 10 horrifically bad clients, right? So it's not about that number. And that growth doesn't have to mean a number. I wish I had told myself that at 26 and avoided all of the heartbreak, all of the shouting, all of the tears, all of the second guessing myself. Because now we have a very, very difficult conversion ratio. For every 600 inquiries we get, we convert one client.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And I think the points you make are so well said. I end up mentoring a lot of young entrepreneurs as well, right? And I think the quality of capital, for instance, and I'm
Yeah.
using the analogy of investor and entrepreneur, right, is so important, because eventually you're going to be working with those investors, and it's always about quality versus quantity.
Yeah.
And I think what you're constantly saying is look at the quality, and
Yes.
it actually has a more detrimental effect on your self-confidence and the ripple effect on your business as a result, that you want to avoid if you really focus on the quality. So I absolutely love that advice. So Sarah, what's next for Sarah? Apart from, of course, one of the obvious
Okay,
things.
I'll start, uncharacteristically, I'll start with what's next for personal Sarah, because I'm really excited. I'm excited to be a mom. I'm excited to spend 3 weeks at home if I manage that. I'm excited to have my new, complete, cute little family and do lots of family stuff together. Focus my energies on that for a bit. Zoomed out, larger lens, world domination for sure. I want to be doing the best design work in the world. I want to continue to have the best teams, systems, processes, clients, and focus on doing a small number of very high quality projects. For me, it's not about number of projects. Like I'm never going to be a studio of 200, 300 people doing 500 projects. I always want to stay small and boutique, but I want the quality of the projects to exponentially increase with a very small and boutique team size. That's the direction we've been going in all these years. I want to continue down that road. I want to grow my communities a lot. Yeah. I want to make a larger impact on a more interpersonal level in my design community. I want to take out some more time to do things with animals. and focus on my health, fitness, eat, travel, enjoy my life. Yeah.
I love the clarity of thought. I love it. And I love the way you start with world domination.
It's happening. It's coming for me.
It's happening for sure. So I think we're at the end of the show. Sarah, I just want you to maybe leave with a few words of inspiration for all the mums and dads maybe watching this show.
Yes.
Any final words?
I feel like being a parent is the best, most amazing and gratifying thing in the world, but also keep some part of something for you that is outside of you being a parent. I think that would be my parting word, is that if you are a stay-at-home mom right now, make sure you do something that's just for you. Whatever you take out time to do, or you're a stay-at-home dad, but you have to have something that defines you outside of being a parent to your child, so that you wake up in the morning and you can dig deep and find that incentive and feel happy about doing exactly what you want to do. That would be.
I love that. I love that because I think so many of us lose so much of us.
I think as women in this Indian society, it's always about be a good daughter, be a good mother, be a good friend, be a good this. You're stuck in everyone else's expectation. What do you want to do? What do you like? You just do that. And then, of course, be a good all of that. But the pressure of that just crushes you sometimes, of expectations, larger family setup. So find something that's only for you. Even if it's 10 minutes of meditation a day that gives you that joy or peace, whatever it is, something that is only a you activity. Make sure you have that in your life.
I think that's a great reminder to all of us, Sarah. And thank you very, very much for taking our time. It's just for those people who are watching it, right? I mean, it's a crazy, rainy, monsoony day in Bombay. Sarah's been up since 5:30 in the morning on client visits, multiple sort of stops on the way, and so grateful you could make it. And
it was
and
so
congratulations
much fun.
And all the best.
Thank you so
for
much.
the new baby as well.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
So Sarah, we're going to move into a segment which is called Never Have I Ever. I'm going to ask you 5 questions. Please be honest. So the first question. Never have I ever felt the pressure to succeed coming from a super successful family? You have.
100%.
Never have I ever asked my parents for money after I started out on my own?
Obviously.
I know the answer. Never have I ever second guessed my decision to have a child after having Sophie?
No, it was the best decision.
Wow. Never have I ever taken a sick leave to spend time with my child?
Oh God, all the time. Yeah. But I don't call it a sick leave, I just bounce.
And the last one, never have I ever missed my child's important milestones?
Many.
All of us. Thanks. Painless. Painless. Sarah, thank you so much for being on our show with us. And the team has put together a small hamper for you.
Thank you.
From the
so
Moms
much.
Co for Sarah.
Thank you.
Hope you enjoy it and make the most of it. I know you will make the most of it.
I will for sure. Everything is going to get used. Thank
Here
you.
you go.